Boom, we are live. Welcome to the 2024 first edition of the Thunder from Down Under podcast. And to kick it off this year, instead of having one amazing guest, I've thought I'll triple it up, and I've got three. We've got an old colleague of mine that I've known for a while, the short sale savage, Matt Merendoff. And we've also got a couple of his mates that have come in with us who specialise in the foreclosure space. And that's Rick, and we've also got Will. Bit rusty, sorry guys. So they're going to come in and they're going to tell us what the state of the market is at the moment and why what they're doing is so relevant and how they're out there helping people. And just give us basically an overview of what they're doing out there in the market. They've got a summit coming up, so we're going to talk about that later on in the show. So I'll let you guys start off. Guys, just give us a quick overview. I mean, you just can break off and have a bit of a turn each, because I know that Matt's slightly different than you guys, but give us an overview of what you guys are actually doing and what you're seeing in the market at the moment, why it's so important for what you're doing to help people in the current space in real estate in the US.
Yes, sir. Not everybody jump at once, right?
Yeah.
So really, this is the culmination of two companies coming together: Real Estate Recovery Group and IPA for REI. And the purpose of us, coming together really is to speak about what's going on in the market and help others understand what's going on in the market, how to build a sustainable business in any real estate economy is what we're teaching. And that is literally based on pre-foreclosures and forced sale situations, right? So that lead source, that lead type is prevalent in any market, but it is becoming more so relevant right now and will be for the sustainable future, the next 4 to 6 years. So bringing us together, and I'm Rick Hamrick. I co-founded IPA for REI with William here on the screen. And I started investing in real estate in 2016 when I purchased my first rental property. I was just a W-2, person that said, okay, hey, let's kind of dabble in the real estate world and kind of figure out what it's all about. And then in 2020, that's where I became really serious about doing marketing and acquisitions, and quickly learned that I didn't want to be like everybody else in the shark-infested red waters. I wanted to be more in a blue ocean. And my background, my software background and everything else taught me that if you could provide solutions and provide value and go where you're needed, you're going to stay busy and stay relevant forever. And that's when I met William in 2020 in a high-level mastermind, and he kind of coached me through my first pre-foreclosure deal, which ended up happening to be a short sale. And that's when I found my calling in the real estate side, being able to go provide value and solutions for owners in distress from a true empathetic nature. That's what I've loved. And over the last, almost 4 years now, we've really kind of built that out and refined that. So I'm a lot closer to most people that will be at the summit that are actually part of the coaching mastermind, because you've got both William and Matt that have been doing this for 20 plus years, right? So I'm evidence of, if you just want to add another sustainable, source, real estate source to your business, then here's why you should focus on pre-foreclosures and forced sale situations where most people would trash the lead and move on. We're showing you how to actually monetize that lead.
Yeah. And Matt, just if you wanted to cut in just where you come into the picture, and obviously short sales, when the property's in trouble and upside down. So how does that complement what the guys are doing? Is there a cutoff point where you come in and basically say, right, well, you guys can't do anything with this, I'll take it over?
Yeah, mute Matt.
And again, take two. Yeah, it's a very unique collaboration, I think, between the three of us. My sole bread and butter has been, settlements of mortgages, modifications, and obviously, short sales. So it seemed like the perfect time and the perfect fit. William and I have known each other for at least over 12 years. We've spoke, probably 100 times, and obviously, we joke around on social media with each other. And I think we both saw what was happening with the market and felt like, hey, you know what? Maybe this time around we should do something together. And by the way, here's Rick. He's my partner, in my venture, and this is what we're doing. So, which was fine. I mean, I've heard of Rick. I've known about him for at least 2 years. I've had multiple conversations. It just seemed like it was the right time to collaborate because we're in a different market. I think we're in a different place right now in our world. I think that people are like, oh, COVID, people get back on track. But the reality is this: a lot of homeowners that had interest rates at 3.5%, 4%. Now they're saying the lending institutions, well, you can't repay, you don't have money, so we can try to do a modification, and they're not qualifying for the modifications. The interest rates are too high, the payment is too much, and over the course of when they actually physically got their mortgage and to where they are right now, their financial situation changed in a very short period of time. Maybe during COVID, maybe the last time they actually had an actual modification done, and maybe they have a partial claim on their mortgage that they don't know about, or maybe they didn't remember. So this time around is a little different. It's got a familiar smell, taste, but it's a different type of main course that we're dealing with. I like to relate things to food. So being that said, what we're offering as a collaboration really does make sense. But I think the average person and or investor tries to stay away from the short sale side of it because they don't understand. I've stayed away from wholesalers basically my whole career, as now I'm actually collaborating with them because they're saying, hey, we don't know what to do with this property. So I have, three different wholesale companies, real companies, not, fly by night people that reach out to me and say, hey, I got to make a quick $25,000 on this property. I know you're the short sale savage guy. So, you do it for X and, I still got to make my fee. I don't need guys like that. I have my own book of business. So the business aspect of it, people are really, I guess, putting a lot of money into it, and they're out there. I'm working with those people right now. I have 6 in my pipeline that are from actual wholesalers that didn't know what to do with it. So it's good to have a collaboration, and obviously, change. You got to change. Look, I've got a shirt on that I'm trying to blend in the wilderness out there with my camo shirt because you got to change with the times. Although today it's snowing out, so my kids are making fun of me like, Dad, you wearing your camo shirt today? Obviously going to stick out like a sore thumb. I said, yeah, but I'm going to be on multiple calls and stuff, so I think it'd be cute to play into it. What's my point? My point is the average real estate agent right now is panicked. They don't know how to figure out how to move forward. When I say distressed real estate, everybody always thinks I'm talking about short sales, but I'm not. There's multiple different ways that you can work on a transaction, but you have to figure out how to figure it out. It's like working on a jigsaw puzzle. So I'm being brought into transactions now that I never thought I would be brought into, which is okay. I can collaborate. And if it doesn't make sense for me, I might say, hey, Rick, William, this is probably something that's in your wheelhouse. I think you guys should get involved in, and vice versa. And that's okay. I don't look at people as competition. I look at everybody as opportunity. That's one of the reasons why I never got my real estate license, nor do I ever want my real estate license. And I think people see me as less of a threat that way. So this made sense based on what's going on now in the economy and what people aren't talking about and what the government isn't talking about, the news media isn't talking about. And with that said, I'm going to flip it over to William and have him pick up from here. Over to you, Will.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it big time. This is, I got to tell you, one thing that cracks me up is a lot of people out there, not mostly in the entrepreneurial space, real estate investors and stuff, but in society in general, a lot of people have that scarcity mentality and they view everybody as competition. And from the outside looking in, for a lot of people that know that Matt and I have both been doing short sales for 20 plus years now, people would think, oh, these guys are competitors. You know, they compete against each other. And that's really not the case at all. I love this guy. He's very easy to get along with. I mean, we do the same thing, which not very many people do what we do. That's the reality. It's a very unusual way to make a living. It's a very unusual thing to specialize in doing. And it kind of requires certain traits. You'll notice you never meet anybody that works in pre-foreclosure that's excessively normal. It's just
True.
not run of the mill, generally speaking. There are a lot of differences, though, with right now what's going on as opposed to what was going on in 2007, 2008. The causes are different in the first place. The causes of financial difficulty are different. In 2008, the financial difficulty was largely because the loans were crazy, the loans that were being given out. I mean, there were no credit parameters. It was a whole bunch of fraud. This time around, it's a different kind of fraud called the Federal Reserve with their inflation. So it's a completely different situation that has caused the difficulties here. But it's also different groups that are being affected. I am not as frequently right now seeing pre-foreclosures of single-family owner-occupied homes. I'm not going to say I'm not seeing them at all. We're seeing plenty of them. But what I'm seeing a lot of right now that I didn't see in 2007 and 2008 is I'm seeing a lot of commercial pre-foreclosures right now, a lot of office buildings going into pre-foreclosure because everybody stopped working from the office and went back to working remotely and working from home. We are also seeing an absolute tremendous amount of investors that are struggling and falling into default, primarily with things such as short-term rentals that didn't work out, because those got really trendy for a while, especially when COVID first hit and everybody was on unemployment. Nobody had to go to work. Nobody had to spend any money on gas because they didn't have to go anywhere. So everybody had extra money to go on vacations and rent Airbnbs with their families, and that business went crazy. So we've been seeing a lot of those as well, because many of them were purchased in such a way where if, for example, if the HOA that governs the neighborhood in which the property is located decided to ban short-term rentals and have some method of actually enforcing such a ban, they can no longer cash flow because they overpaid for the property and they bought it with debt that would not allow them to cash flow. They need $300 a night. $3,000 a month isn't going to work because their cost factor is more like 4. Just for a random example. One of the funny things about what we're doing is 2007, 2008, when most real estate investors in the United States were not having a good time. They were upside down. They didn't know what to do unless they were working in short sales or REOs. They really weren't doing too many deals at that time. An odd thing about what we do is we were having the time of our lives in 2007, 2008, 2009. We were making money hand over fist, but we picked up a skill set that was applicable thereafter as well. Those of us who were really thriving during that time and did a lot of volume of short sales and other pre-foreclosure solutions, and we experienced helping people with a various group of different institutional problems, such as IRS liens, mortgages and equity lines, and all kinds of liens from every institution you can think of that could possibly place a lien on property. We've developed a lot of unique talents to approach real estate from almost a backwards perspective compared to how most people work.
Yeah, and what other factors will, like, you know, with loans and like Rick said before, you know, people putting stuff on the back end. What's different now than say 2007, 2008? What are you seeing now that's adding to this? You know, people getting in more trouble and looking like they're going to lose their homes or they're upside down. What other factors are there?
That's a great question. And one of the biggest things that I'm seeing, Matt pointed out earlier, it's one of the most common things that I'm seeing. Back in 2007, 2008, the rates were actually higher before that crisis kicked in. And the rates started going downward in 2008, 2009, and more manageable. And when people would apply for loan mods, they weren't done the same way they're done now. So in 2007 and 2008, everybody went out and got loan modifications. I hear tons of people who do not work with pre-foreclosures frequently talking about how everybody has equity and the bank will just give them loan mods and it'll work out fine and nobody's getting foreclosed on. They could not possibly be further from the truth as to how that's actually working out in real life. Right now, people are going and getting loan mods on properties they overpaid for in 2021 because of that craze, that buying spree that was purely emotionally fueled. Okay. So people overpaid drastically, but if they bought in 2021, they got like a 3% rate, a 3.5% rate, that type of deal. Here's the problem. If they took a forbearance or otherwise fell behind on their loan and they go to apply for a loan modification right now, their 3% rate is now going to be a 7% rate. And I mean, on $200,000, the difference between 3% and 7%, it's not a rounding error. Let's put it that way. It's definitely a large enough amount to really kick somebody down.
I actually saw a post or a live, I think it's a week or two ago, and about like you said, a lot of people were structuring sub twos and they were structuring them really tight and being all creative and everything. And because the interest rates are so low, now the banks are starting to call a lot of those due for however that's happening. Is that another thing that you guys are seeing, that the banks are saying, well, we can't, we can jack that up to 7%, so we'll call the loan due? And are you seeing that happening in the industry a bit?
Yes, we do a lot of sub two as well. That's one of the other strategies that we use at IPA for REI. And sub two, actually, my very first sub two deal was in March of 2000, and I've been doing them steadily ever since. Sub two happens to be one of my favorite methods of buying. But where things really went wrong specifically with sub two is that in the past couple of years, they've become excessively popular. They've become really trendy. They're all over TikTok, YouTube, all that type of crap. So you get a bunch of people who have the depth of knowledge of the average wholesaler. And I mean brand new wholesaler, somebody who's going from fast food to wholesaling. Okay. They're not a business person. They don't understand business. They don't understand the importance of relationships in business. They don't understand anything about the complex legalities of pre-foreclosure. And you've got people going out there and doing sub twos in a lot of ways that are both stupid, number one, because they're leaving a ton of money on the table, the way that they're choosing to do these transactions. Definitely unethical. And if not quite illegal yet, many of the things that they are doing are going to be illegal in the immediate future. The reason for this is sub two is one particular type of owner financing or private seller financing. It's blown up in popularity in the past couple of years because a couple of people used some really cute marketing tactics to get it out in front of people more than ever before. I originally learned that technique from Ron LeGrand I started studying his books when I was 15 years old in like 1997. Did my first deals in 2000. And now what we're seeing a lot of with sub two, one particular trend, there are quite a few trends with sub two that are very disturbing, and most of which are being taught within the same groups. And man, there's going to be repercussions. There will definitely be consequences. There will definitely be consumer protection laws being changed. Hell, there might even be a brand new consumer protection agency or a brand new unit at an existing consumer protection agency, such as the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. One practice that I'm seeing a lot of that I'll describe real quick before I hand it back to the other guys so I don't hog this whole call. I'm starting to feel selfish over here. The one thing that I'm starting to see a lot of is the assignment of subject to deals. People are going out and buying a property subject to, and then they're turning around and assigning that deal to somebody else, an unknown third party, who then may be additionally assigning the deal. That I'm seeing that left and right, like we were seeing with wholesaling 15 years ago. There's this daisy chaining effect, which is just downright disgusting. What I'll tell you about that, and this does not apply to any other form of seller finance, okay? And there's one strict reason for it. I know in Australia, you probably have slightly different terms for certain things. Like a social security number might be called something different in Australia, although it's the same thing for all intents and purposes. Yeah. Our governments are very linked and they all kind of operate the same.
Yeah.
So with the subject to, that is the one type of transaction where you are taking over a loan that was granted to another individual. And it is attached to their credit report, to their social security number, and reported to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. The very first time a payment is missed on a mortgage account in the United States, it is downright catastrophic for credit. One missed mortgage payment will exclude you from most credit-related opportunities for a minimum of 2 years. 24 solid months of having doors slammed in your face every time you need some help. So it's a very big deal. Very, very, very big deal. It's okay to assign a seller finance deal. It's okay to do that. It's okay to assign even a wraparound mortgage to some extent. But assigning a subject to deal, you're literally convincing a seller by building rapport and building trust and building a relationship with them to trust you individually to make their payments. And that's based on their trust that they establish in you by looking you up, by verifying your knowledge, by verifying that you've successfully done this before, maybe talking to a couple of referral partners you have or something like that. So it's personal, right?
Yeah.
And then you go and assign it to somebody else. That would be the equivalent of me being engaged to a woman for several years. And then come wedding day, I'm like, hey, you're marrying Rick. Rick, step on up in your tuxedo, ready to go. Congrats, guys. See ya. I'm out. Rick, give me my 10 grand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the seller feels really, really upset the exact same way that that bride would feel. And the sellers are starting to report people for this left and right. What some of these morons are not aware of, and I'll happily call them morons. It's a fitting title. What many of them are not aware of, when it comes down to it in the end, and some form of charges are actually filed, some form of criminal charges, or perhaps a civil suit where there's some heavy fines, some heavy financial penalties. The person who sat down at the table and convinced the seller to sell the property subject to is going to be the one who answers for it.
Yeah.
And they don't know this. They don't understand it. So they're out there assigning a deal that could be a long-term cash flow transaction with tax benefits and all kinds of other advantages. And they're throwing it away for a $5,000 assignment fee or a $10,000 assignment fee. Some of these groups have their own lingo, which cracks me up. They take a long existing term. For example, you take wholesaling as it's functioned for a very, very long time, right? And you simply relabel it. And now instead of wholesaling, I call it quick flipping or short flipping or donkey flipping or whatever. These people make up these names for pre-existing transactions so that they can sell them. And then they use all kinds of childlike lingo on TikTok and YouTube to try to build up a massive following that communicates in their own little lingo. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am absolutely 100% positive it's not going to be much longer before subject to transactions done in that particular manner turn into an absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
You make some great points. And I think that's for long-term investors, that's been something that they've been warning about for a long time. And like you said, like the marriage, it's a moral thing. It's a moral thing.
Yes,
like, you know,
exactly.
You're putting someone in, you know, it's a trusting position, and then you're just palming it off to a stranger you don't know. So I just want to clarify one thing, because we've got an Aussie flag up there, so there's an Aussie viewer watching. We can't do any of this stuff in Australia. We cannot do any of it. Sub-twos, wholesaling, signed contracts, nothing. So we're in awe of the fact that you can do it. But once again, with that comes responsibility and moral responsibility as an investor to protect your client. So that leads me to the next
You
question.
seriously can't do any of this in Australia?
Nah, we can do very little. You can't look. There's a seller finance. It's I forget the name of it, but you need Philadelphian lawyers to do it, and it's almost puts all the onus back on you. So it's not worth doing. And lease options you can technically do, but it just doesn't work with the price of property and the figures. And try and convince an Australian to do it. Like when I first found out about sub twos, it took me a year to get off the floor, and then they put me in a straitjacket when I tried to tell someone about it that this actually happens in America. So you've got no idea. This is why myself and a few other Australians are so in love with US real estate, because done properly, these things are amazing, and they can benefit all people involved and help people get themselves out of trouble. And this is what I want to talk to you guys about, because you guys are long-term guys. You've got credibility in the industry, and you serve people. Not just, it's not about the money. It's about the whole package, and it's about and I know this through Matt. It's about doing it with integrity. So, what does it look like when you get leads come in? You get people ring you. What does it look like? How do you go from there? And what filters have you got in place to make sure that you're doing? That you're.
Well, I know exactly where you're going with this, so let me handle this one.
Yeah.
I got a call yesterday from somebody, and they're asking me, they're telling me, I'm a listing agent, and here's how it's going to go. When someone calls me and tells me how it's going to go, I immediately start playing with my phone and looking at social media, because I know it's not going to go in the direction that they want. But for shits and giggles, I stay on and I listen. So the person, which totally cracks me up, there's different types of bankruptcy protection. The person who is in trouble is in bankruptcy. They had a sale date. The sale date popped up. Now, mind you, the property's in New Jersey, where I am, in the great state of New Jersey. He's in a different state, but the person's licensed in multiple states. And his logic behind it was, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to list it. You're going to short sell it. We're going to get it for the lowest possible number, and then I'm going to flip the contract. I'm going to pay you, whatever I can. I'm going to make money on that, and I'm going to make real estate commissions on both sides. And I said, hey, can I stop you real quick? And the person said, yeah, because you got questions? I said, no. I just want to know, what time does the fucking spaceship land on your front lawn?
I was going to say, I'm surprised they lasted that long on the phone with you, Matt.
Well, because, I have to tell you, I do get funny phone calls every now and then. That was one of the funny ones. And I'm thinking to myself, I just don't understand. How is it? And the person felt like he was entitled to do this. So I said, let me back up. Let me save you some headache on why you don't want to end up in matching bracelets. And I'm not talking about matching Rolexes.
Yeah.
You're telling me you're going to run it the way you want. You think my company, who has one, integrity, two, I have a massive reputation in this field. I'm going to risk all that because of some half-assed hatch plan that you have. Makes no sense. Now, forget everything else. The homeowner is in bankruptcy. Are you aware of the fact that during the bankruptcy time frame, that the property really isn't the homeowner's? They have no control over the title. I'm sorry, over the deed of the property. They have to ask for permission from a trustee to sell that property. And he said, well, you could figure all that out. I said, my guy, I'm not doing a deal with you. If you want to do a regular real estate transaction, short sale, we're good. Like, I got to question some of these guys and some of the things they come up with. We're in 2024. Aren't you afraid of getting locked up in a situation like that? In New Jersey, they just passed a bill in the state of New Jersey where somebody has the right to buy their property at auction with a family member. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on here? And it can't be an investor posing as a family member, because let's face it, who the hell's you haven't paid your mortgage in 5 years? Now all of a sudden, you could pay your mortgage. Bank's going to question that. Number one. Number two, now it's going to auction, and at auction, there's a certain percentage you have to put down if you're an investor buying it. They're trying to stop investors from buying distressed real estate. Why? If the homeowner couldn't do what they need to do, and during that time frame, for whatever reason, they thought Jesus Christ Almighty was going to show up in the front door with a checkbook. Mind you, I don't think Jesus had any pockets. And that person's going to help them pay their mortgage. Now you have somebody that, as that sale, that's going to buy that property. They're going to buy that asset, right? They've got to clear out title. And for whatever reason, the governor feels that that homeowners should still have the right to purchase their property and stay in their homes. And I could send you the article if you want to see it. If anybody's on here for the replay or whatever it is and they want it, I'll send it to them so they can read it. I just think it's amazing the amount of shit that's going on. Now, I know this is going to pop up during this conversation. I'm just going to bring it up right now. VA loans put another moratorium until, what is it, May now, William?
May, end of May.
Yeah, May 2024. What do they know? Why are they putting out another moratorium on these mortgages? And by the way, guys, don't get cute because it's owner occupied only. If it's an investor and you moved out and somebody's living in that property and they find out and you try to do something, you're basically committing fraud. But let's get back to that bill in New Jersey. If you were somebody that's an investor and wants to buy that property and you think there's a way around it, that property has to be held for 7 years before it can be sold. And if it's sold before the maturity date, you can get whacked with $100,000 to $500,000 fine. So when I tell you they're trying to put these provisions in place for a reason, it smells a hell of a lot like 2007, 2008. It doesn't mean the same things are going to happen. But you sure as hell better get educated by the people that are in the trenches, not the people that decided, hey, I did 4 or 5 deals. I'm a guru now. And now they're selling these bullshit things on TikTok that I see, or they're offering these quote unquote masterminds. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, you sucked so bad. You used to send me your transactions, and now you're claiming to be a fucking guru? That scared the shit out of me. And that's why it's important that really people get fully educated. Before I blow the top of my head off, I'll let Rick take over.
Just before Rick jumps in, so this is why I brought you guys on for a reality check, because this has been going on for a while. It was going on for wholesaling, then like the sub twos, and there's going to be like you said, some laws brought in. There's going to be a lot of people litigated, and there's going to be a bit of a clean out, isn't there? Because it can't keep going this way, or else there will be stuff brought in, and you won't be able to do it, just like in Australia. You know what I mean? Like it'll just get to a point where people will be doing the wrong thing, and it won't be able to happen anymore, which is a shame. So, that's why I wanted you guys to so we could come in and talk about what's actually happening, because you guys have been doing this for a long period of time. And as Matt just said, there's so much TikTok stuff and all that out now, and that most of these people haven't even done it, and they're selling courses and they're making up stuff. It's easy to get an AI thing to do a course, and I'm a course content creator. So, yeah, I mean, Rick can have a go. Rick's been pretty quiet there in the background, but this is what you guys are trying to educate people on, and this is what you're and we'll go to the summit. This is what the summit's about, is to get people to work with you guys long term and to learn how to do things properly and credibly and with integrity. So Ricky, if you wanted to just sort of elaborate on that and basically a bit more about what you guys are about, and that is a bit of ethics, bringing a bit of ethics back to investing, and getting rid of all the bells and whistles from like a lot of the guru stuff that's out there. So I'll give you the floor, Rick. You've been very patient there, just sitting there pretty quiet. So you can have the floor for a minute and just elaborate on that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. I appreciate it. Really, that's what it comes down to. We in the trenches know what's coming. The conversations we're having with loss mitigation and credit departments and others, left, right, and center. The conversations that we're having with borrowers. The hearing those folks in the industry say that there's so much equity, and then getting files dropped on our desk every single day that are 80, 90, 100 plus $1,000 in arrears, or having partial claims on it that they weren't aware of, and those type of things. Being able to come to somebody and provide a solution honestly and ethically, like, from a place of empathy, like you truly want to serve and help, is going to reward you, and reward you very handsomely, right? Because you're doing it the right way. Real estate investors, wholesalers, a lot of people, over the years of my exposure since 2016 have been, I want to be a pre-foreclosure expert. I'm going to go run some PPC Facebook, ads. I'm going to do some stuff to draw in these type of leads. But the moment that it doesn't have equity, the moment that it's upside down or has, an issue with title, is the moment they throw it away and walk away. Guess who that leaves out in the cold, right? The person who was originally trusting you and reaching out for help. And joining these two guys, which, I saw right from the beginning, was doing things with integrity and doing things the right way, was why I wanted to come this direction. And knowing what's coming in the market, the three of us going, hey, now is the right time to make sure that we have an army of solution providers around the country. Sit down with that borrower and understand what they want and what they need, and then over time get them to the same place. It's got to be, their idea. You can't go force something on them, but you can educate them. When somebody says they're a pre-foreclosure expert, they're really not. They don't really understand the 8 options that somebody in pre-foreclosure has. So we wanted to come together and put on some summits around the country to make sure that there were other people out there that knew what those 8 options were and how to do them and do them right, from marketing and systems and processes. How do you get to these leads, and how do you get to having the conversations with the right borrowers that need the help? What are those workout options? Is it a loan modification? Is it a forbearance? Is it a subject to acquisition, a lease option acquisition, a short sale, and heaven forbid, right, the bankruptcy and the foreclosure? All of the different things are going on. What is this legal process? Truly understand what that is, and how to build an extended team of professionals around the country. When it comes to a retail short sale or comes to a loan modification, William and I are laser focused on our income producing activities on the investing side, subject to lease option, short sale from an investor. I'm going to acquire the property side. We send retail short sales, loan modifications, and that type of stuff to Matt, because that's his lane. That's what he does. That's his income producing activity. We don't want you to come to the event thinking that I am going to have to know all of this stuff. I'm going to pick my lane. What is my lane? Or maybe a couple of things, but at least I become aware of what those are and who my extended team is and where to send somebody so that they can truly get help. Bankruptcy attorneys, foreclosing attorneys, credit repair, real estate agents, loss mitigation companies. All of these folks are coming together in Clearwater, Florida, to learn and to build that network so that people can help with what's coming, whether it's a residential pre-foreclosure opportunity or what William alluded to in the beginning, a lot of commercial opportunity. And the difference between residential and commercial is commercial just has an extra 0 or 2 at the end of it, which makes for a very nice payday for somebody who knows how to provide those solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you've just covered it there. Firstly, if you're going to look at doing this, you've got to be trained by professionals who have been in it long term and who know the systems and the structures, but also, as we talked about before, about the legalities of it. This is pretty serious stuff. And it's not, I just don't think a lot of people out there realize, that you can get yourself in a lot of trouble with this. So you've got to learn it from people that have been doing it and cover all the bases. And like you guys have said, combined, you guys, you've probably got like 30 plus years, 40 years of experience in this particular thing. There's not too many people out there that have got that and are actually combine that with some ethics and a good structure and a network around the country. So this is what I always say when I have people on, guests on, that are legitimate people. They've got reputations. You've got to work with people like that. You've got to do your homework. There's a lot of noise out there, and you've got to find people like yourself that know people in the industry and are endorsed by people in the industry. And this is the thing. We'll jump. I'll just give it a bit of a plug. We've got it on the graphics there, but we'll give it a plug in a minute because I'm really keen. I think if anyone wants to get into this, there's going to be a lot. You guys have been saying there's going to be a lot of backlash on all this stuff that's been happening from the gurus and all this sort of stuff. So if you're serious about doing this, and this is what you guys said at the start of the interview, this is the future moving forward. This is where the real estate space is heading because of the market and where the market's heading. So jump in and educate yourself now and have all the proper training, documents, know the law, and work. And you guys actually, you're building a community as well, aren't you? You're building a community that you can be in month by month, which I spoke to Rick the other day and he told me the figure. I nearly fell off my chair. It's that cheap. So do you want to just basically elaborate a little bit more on that, about the network that you're building? It's not just a course and then you get thrown off into the wilderness. There's actually a foundation there where you can, become a member and be long term. So do you want to just do a quick overview on that, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the combination, right, of RRG, and you talk about all of the rules and regulations, that's what RRG stands for, right? Matt's company and IPA for REI come together for pre-for-profits is communing, or basically creating that community of folks across the country. Now, aside from that, right, Matt does a lot of the retail, short sales, loan modifications, settlements, and that type of stuff. Well, the community side of what William and I do, IPA for REI, stands for Income Producing Activities for Real Estate Investors. And that is a true coaching mastermind program where we learn how to focus on our income producing activities. William's alluded to it multiple times. Why would you want one $5,000 fee when this house that you negotiated a specific transaction for could actually pay you $90,000 or $100,000 over the lifetime of it? So we put on the investor hat and the that side of it, and we focus on understanding the bigger picture with the pre-foreclosure and forced sale market, how to negotiate IRS liens, how to truly cure the arrears and take over a property subject to and fix that person's problem immediately, or a lease option, or we focus on the investor short sales. So if the property condition is a C5 or a C6, that's what we do, because we know that we can negotiate with the banks and the institutions to the tunes of tens of thousands or maybe even $100,000 in a chunk, because they're not emotional to them. We're just a KPI. We're using their written rules, regulation, and guidelines to negotiate right back with them. And that's a much more satisfying feeling than trying to negotiate with the little old lady who has lived in the house for 40 years and is protecting her equity. She hasn't touched the house in 40 years. I mean, it still looks like straight out of the 80s with the ending period of shag carpet and wall panels and all that kind of good stuff. But she's giving you $250 discounts, whereas we're regularly getting 25, 50, 100, 125. We just got done doing one where the negotiated spread was originally $128,000 to the first approval to the last approval. If you can't do something with that $128,000, you're in the wrong business, right? So it's the community of investors, which the irony of it is it's for REI, but about 40% of our community is licensed brokers or agents, because they understand, if I understand how to provide solutions and I pick my lane. We've got some in our group that are like, I love negotiating with the banks and I want to do short sales. And others are like, I don't want to touch it. I want to outsource that to Matt. I still want to buy the property. I'm going to outsource that to Matt. I'm a subject to person, or I'm a lease option person. But just understanding all of the different options and building a sustainable business in any real estate economy by going where you're needed is what we're trying to convey with pre-for-profits and anything that the three of us are doing together.
Yep. Beautiful. Yep. Absolutely. All right, guys. I I've been talking to Matt for a long time to try and get Matt on individually, which we're still going to do because, 45 minutes has gone by. We can cover so much more topics. So I'm going to have Matt back on. But I appreciate you guys all coming in as a collective. And, basically, what you are doing with the summit is a great thing. And it's because there's going to be a huge need for this moving forward. So you guys have put your hand up and said, look, we're going to start a community. We're going to educate people how to do it the right way. So I'll just read out the link that people can go to sign up. And actually, I'll go back to the captions here because I can't read. It's too small on the screen. It's http preforprofits.com. So if you guys, what we'll do is I've got your link, and when this gets dropped in some Facebook groups and I jump out of here, I'm going to put that, which actually comes up with the whole kit and caboodle. I'll put that in all the comments and in everywhere this is dropped. And I just encourage people to jump in and have a look at it. And if they feel it's for them, register. So I'll just let you guys finish off, take the floor and finish off. If there's any final things you want to say, we'll start up the top with Matt, and then we'll work our way down to you guys at the bottom. And then, we'll...
all I want to say is I'm terrified for real estate agents that are either seasoned or unseasoned in real estate when it comes to distressed real estate. I have a client that's in trouble with their property. Clients now become a family member because of how my company treats people. And I went over everything with the real estate agent. I explained everything in great detail. I have disclosures, whatever. I told the agent 6% put on the MLS sheet. The agent sends me paperwork back and it says 4%. And I said, why 4%? I don't want the buyer to shell out any more money than they really need to. They're both family members on fixed income. I said it's a short sale. Yeah. The bank is paying for the real estate commission. The bank is paying for the attorney fees. In some cases, they'll pay a certain percentage of judgments. The list goes on. Why 4%? I don't want the homeowner to have to worry about paying more commission. That scares the shit out of me. That agent is not hearing what I'm saying. Quite honestly, I don't want to work with real estate agents like that. If you don't want to invest in yourself and get educated, like people go, they get bachelor's degree, or they go to night school and they want to do something else. Like, same thing. But you can't, you're playing with somebody that is going to lose their house to foreclosure. You don't want somebody to have a foreclosure on their record, and you don't want to run somebody. I'm sure we all have stories where people waited for so long that the person had to file bankruptcy. Or I know in Texas, they file restraining orders. Wild shit that's out there. But at the end of the day, if you know what you're doing from the beginning and you explain everything properly to all parties, you expect all parties to listen to what's said to do, and everybody has their part and they have to play in their role. And if they don't do it, it's just going to be a tragedy. So I really believe strongly in the event that I am a partner with in a preforprofits.com event that's happening in Clearwater, Florida, for a reason. And I think people should take this shit serious because distressed real estate isn't going away at all. And it's never going away. And why not be able to succeed in any real estate economy? So if shit goes crazy again and everything's great in 3 years from now, right? You can do with it. If the shit hits the fan in 5 years from now, I know how to deal with it. You'll be able to handle anything in any environment. Real estate agents are getting part-time jobs, full-time jobs, and I'm talking to agents on a daily basis that are flipping out. They're saying, well, I really don't have money to throw towards education. Well, you know what? You might have to ask if they want paper or plastic with that. Stop playing around.
Yeah,
Rick,
absolutely. Now, just before we go into Will, can you how do people reach out to you, Matt? Like to follow you? Have you got any handles and any things that you can just people can start following you and seeing your stuff.
I mean, I'm pretty easy. I'm pretty easy to find on social media. It's Short Sale Savage, literally Short Sale Savage, or you do hashtag Short Sale Savage, or you could do my full name, which is MatthewMarinoff.com, and it brings up all my information, including my personal cell phone number, which some people think I'm bananas for giving out. But how else are you going to get me at 9:30 on a Friday night and say, "Hey, we got a sell date on Tuesday. Can you stop it?"
Yep.
It is what
Absolutely.
it is.
So do yourself a favor and jump on and follow Matt, because great knowledge and everything, but not just that, it's very entertaining. If you see some of his stuff, I love it. And I follow him and love what he does. Straight to the point and hits you between the eyes, and spends a lot of time in his car. So he's always out there working. But all right, Will, I'll let you sort of take the floor just to do a bit of a summary, and then you can do the same. Just yell out, do a shout out about how people can get onto you or follow you or anything like that.
Absolutely. All right. So first and foremost, I'm going to say that from my perspective, the best reason anybody would want to come down to the Pre-For-Profits event in Clearwater, Florida at the end of February would be so you can learn how to work with professionals on distressed real estate. It's not necessarily that we're trying to tell you that you're going to learn this stuff inside and out in 2.5 days. Of course, you're going to learn a ton, but what you will definitely learn that is immediately actionable is you will learn how to work in concert with us on these types of transactions. So if you find one the day after you leave the event, you'll know exactly how to go about teaming up and working with us, during which, of course, you'll get the hands-on experience. Now, one thing I'm going to say a little different than Matt, I try not to give out my personal cell number all that much, because if somebody calls me at 9:30 on a Friday night, I want to lose my right foot in their ass. But I personally,
Matt loves the conflict. He loves the conflict, so it just gives him something to do.
he doesn't run out of energy, though. Even though he's a couple of years older than I am, this man has unlimited energy. He never, ever, ever runs. He doesn't even sleep. He doesn't even need it.
It's overrated.
I'll tell you, I sleep. I like my sleep. As far as I go, the best way to get hold of me these days is info@ipa4rei.com. info@ipa4rei.com is the best way to get hold of me, largely because that actually goes directly to both myself and Rick. So in case I don't see it, Rick sees it and reminds me that we got some communications.
Yep, beautiful. No worries. And
That's right.
Thanks for that, Will. And Rick, we'll just finish off with you, and we'll wrap it up, guys. You got anything to add to that, Rick? And chuck out, do a shout out for yourself about how people can follow you or jump, see your content out there and learn a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate it. And I mean, just really kind of piggybacking on what these guys are saying is it's been really neat for me to see, obviously, in more of a junior position to them, as agents and investors and everybody else are leaving the real estate profession in droves right now because there aren't enough deals. The three of us just keep getting busier and busier and busier, right? We're ramping up, and just adding this to your bag, right, in 2024 and beyond is going to help you weather that storm. That's the whole idea there. So IPA4REI.com or rickhamrick.info, the same email address that William got out, are ways to get a hold of us. We do have Facebook page, Instagram page, and we really, again, aren't the guru type, so we really just started posting on our Facebook page and doing that. We'd much rather roll up our sleeves, be hands-on in the trenches and working alongside anybody in the community.
Yeah, no, good stuff. All right, guys, wrapped to have you guys on. Matt, thanks for coming on, and we will have you back on to talk all things short sales, and we've been threatening it for about 1.5 years to catch up, so we'll have you back. And Will and Rick, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for coming on and sharing all that with us. Like I said, we could talk for hours, but we've sort of had to try and push it into sort of like 50 minutes. But then, people can reach out and they can find out more information, and that's where it's at. We can only cover so much on the podcast, but the links will be in all the, when the videos go out, and just click it, guys. Have a look and see if it's for you. And if you want to work with some professionals that are going to show you how to secure probably the next 5 years of your real estate investing, ethically and without getting yourself into trouble, these are the guys to go and see. So, all right, guys, pleasure to have you on. And it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, Matt. I love, like I said, I follow your stuff. So, all right, guys, we'll check out. And just before we go, if you're on Facebook, smash the like button, the love button. Give these guys plenty of love. If there's any questions, chuck them in. We can answer them even, when people are watching the replay. And go to the Graham Solomon Thunder from Down Under YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, become part of the family so you get notified when we go live with guests like this. So, all right, guys, have a good one. And it's a pleasure to have you on. Thanks very much for your time.
You too, brother.
Thank you.
Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.